what's your full name?
Timothy Joseph Donahugh.
Okay.
Full name or first and last? Wait a minute, before we start, do you guys have a makeup crew or anything? Like I'm feeling a little, here. Is that better?
Yeah. Okay. Now, so how does racism affect you?
How does racism affect me? Well, being a white male, obviously I have white privilege. There are things that I've noticed in my lifetime that me as a white man, being a white male, I don't have to worry about as opposed to somebody that's not a white male. Like when I go shopping, nobody follows me around Target to see if I'm going to put things in my coat pockets or but I've had black friends that have had situations like that where they're following, and it's sad because we've been in the same department store, and so has it affected me? It's probably benefited me, and not something that is necessarily, I mean, it's not in my control. You know, I don't control any of that. I'm just the beneficiary. And I recognize that. And of course, we've been doing there's been a ton of research, and we've been doing a lot of educating. They've been educating our staff a lot about what that means to have white privilege. And, I don't know if that helps answer the question. But.
Okay. Do you feel a certain way about racism?
Do I feel a certain way about it? I'm disgusted by it. When I hear about it or I see about it, like we're going through probably, well, clearly the toughest time since the 60s, since Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Came through. I mean, look, even dating back to slavery, but then we're talking about equal rights and things like that. We're not that far out of the 60s. I mean, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I mean, we're looking at maybe 40 years,
right,
around there, working on going into 50 years from it. So there's generations of people that, I mean, are passing along racist attitudes towards their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So, and of course, the time that we're in right now, it seems to be, I mean, it's out there again to the point where you're just going, I thought we were past this. I thought this, this happened in the 60s. This is something that we were supposed to learn from and move on. But of course, bad events in history, what do? They repeat themselves if you don't learn from them. And of course, there's so much ingrained in people. I mean, I grew up in a family situation, a family dynamic where I heard a lot of things said that were racist. And my siblings, they would say things. And of course, as I got educated and started to learn, I started to learn that was really messed up, the things that they were saying. And it was having an influence on me. I was young. So, but.
And why do you think racism still exists to this day?
Well, I think I kind of touched on that in the last one, and that is because we're still not that far removed from separate bathrooms, separate water fountains, those kinds of things for whites and blacks. And, it's just, I'm hoping with time, obviously, that things get better, but it's going to take generations of people to stop it. Like me raising my children. Not to be racist, right? Like just, but it's going to take the generation of people to continue to do that, and eventually, I'm hoping that we can, move forward and just embrace the fact that we're all people, all human beings, and we all have human rights, regardless of the color of your skin.
Okay, so let's say you're in a restaurant and the owner throws out someone for being black. What do you do?
That's a great question. Have never been in that situation, so I was trying to think of what if that happened, and do I know the situation or do I not? If I know that they're throwing them out based on the color of their skin, I get up and walk out myself and confront the person that says that. I mean, I'd tell the owner. Exactly. I mean, depending upon who did it, what employee, I'm either going right to the ownership and let them know what I observed so that they know and hopefully they fire that person for doing that. If it happens to be the owner, well then, hopefully at that point you somehow, maybe you find out word of mouth. Maybe you find out when you get the word out there, you start talking to people. Maybe this is a practice, and they've been doing this. So you try to, number one, let people know so that they don't go there, and hopefully that business fails. But two, maybe you get the media involved, because that's the best way for people to find out. And maybe that person goes out of business. Maybe people boycott that business. But in the moment, when you see something happen, if I know the story on it, and if I know that that's the reason why they're doing it, I'm confronting it. I'm going to let them know, we're leaving this restaurant because of what you just did, and we're going to be talking to the owner, or I might even ask to speak to the owner right at that moment. Can I please speak to your boss? Can I please speak to the owner? So that's what I would do, personally.
All right, thank you for letting me interview you.
Yeah, you bet.